The asteroid belt stretched across the viewport like a river of stones. Commander Jack Reynolds stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching as his small ship, the Explorer, weaved between the larger rocks. His mission was simple: investigate an unusual energy reading and report back. Standard procedure. "Sir, we're approaching the source of the signal," said Lisa, his navigator. She brushed a strand of blonde hair from her face and pointed to a large asteroid ahead. "It's coming from inside that one." Jack nodded. At 42, he had seen enough strange things in space to be cautious but not fearful. "Any signs of life or activity?" "None, sir," replied Tom Miller, the team's technical officer. He was young, barely 30, but brilliant with machines. "Just that steady energy pulse. It's like a heartbeat." The asteroid looked ordinary enough, a lumpy mass of rock and ice roughly 3 miles across. But as they drew closer, Jack noticed an unusual opening on one side. Too straight, too clean to be natural. "That's a docking bay," he said, leaning forward. "This isn't just an asteroid." Emma Williams, the team's engineer, joined them at the viewport. Her dark eyes widened. "It's camouflage. Someone built a structure inside that rock." Jack made his decision quickly. "Suit up. We're going in." An hour later, Jack led his 4-person team through the dark, silent corridors of what was clearly an abandoned ship hidden inside the hollowed-out asteroid. Their flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing walls of dull metal covered in a thin layer of frost. "This technology," Emma whispered, running her gloved hand along a panel. "It's old, but advanced. Maybe 200 years old." "That would put it around the time of the Galactic War," said Mike, the team's security officer. His hand rested on his sidearm, eyes constantly scanning for threats. They moved deeper into the ship, passing through what looked like crew quarters, mess halls, and storage rooms. Everything was intact but abandoned, as if the crew had simply walked away one day. "Sir," called Tom from a few steps ahead, "I think this is the bridge." The doors to the bridge were sealed shut. It took Emma 10 minutes to bypass the security and force them open. As the heavy metal slid apart with a groan, they stepped into a large, circular room. "Incredible," breathed Lisa. Unlike the rest of the ship, the bridge showed no signs of age. Consoles lined the walls, their surfaces dark but unblemished. A large command chair sat in the center, facing a wall of view screens. "Let's see if anything still works," Jack said. "Emma, check those systems. Tom, see if you can access the ship's logs." As they worked, Jack explored the bridge, trying to identify the ship. There were no obvious markings, no flags or emblems, just clean, efficient design and technology that felt both familiar and alien. "Commander," Emma called suddenly. Her voice echoed in the quiet room. "I think I found something." She stood before a console that had begun to glow faintly. As Jack approached, he saw symbols scrolling across the screen. "Did you activate that?" he asked. Emma shook her head, looking worried. "I just wiped off some dust." It started on its own. The glow from the console brightened, and a soft hum filled the bridge. One by one, other systems began to activate. Lights flickered on overhead, and the view screens blinked to life. "Everyone stay calm," Jack ordered, though he felt his own heart racing. "Tom, what's happening?" Before Tom could answer, a voice spoke from nowhere and everywhere. "System reactivation initiated. Identifying presence of human life forms. Authenticating." The team froze. The voice was neither male nor female, but clearly artificial. "Is that an eye?" Lisa whispered. "Appears to be," Jack replied quietly. A red light swept over them, scanning their bodies from head to toe. Human DNA confirmed. Clearance level insufficient for full access. Emergency protocols active. "This is automated system red of the United Earth warship Spectre." Jack felt his blood run cold. The Spectre. Every military officer knew the name. a legendary warship from the final days of the Galactic War, reportedly destroyed in the last great battle. Its captain, Marcus Reed, had been hailed as a hero who sacrificed himself and his ship to end the conflict. But the ship hadn't been destroyed. It had been hidden here at the edge of human space. "Red," Jack said, stepping forward. "I am Commander Jack Reynolds of the United Earth Navy. We found your signal. Why has the Spectre awakened now, after 200 years?" The eye was silent for a moment. Then the main view screen activated, showing the asteroid field outside. External sensors detect approaching vessels. Non-human origin. Estimated arrival: 20 minutes. "What?" Jack turned to Tom. "Check our scanners. Is something coming?" Tom rushed to a console that had come alive. After a few seconds of study, his face paled. "Red is right. 6 ships, moving fast. I've never seen designs like these before. They have detected the energy signature from reactivation," Red stated. "Defensive systems are initializing." "Wait," Jack said. "We need to return to our ship and report this discovery. The Spectre is a relic of history. It should be studied, preserved." "Negative," Red replied. "The Spectre was concealed for a reason. Its technology was deemed too dangerous by Captain Reed. The approaching vessels belong to the Vrex Dominion." "The Vrex?" Lisa looked confused. "I've never heard of them." "They were the main enemy in the Galactic War," Mike said grimly. "But they retreated to their home system after their defeat. We haven't had contact with them in generations." Red's voice seemed to grow more urgent. "The Vrex never accepted defeat. They have been rebuilding. The Spectre was hidden because it was the only weapon that could truly stop them." A new alarm sounded, and the view screen showed energy weapons charging on the approaching ships. "They are targeting your vessel," Red announced. Jack watched in horror as a beam of light shot from the lead alien ship. On the screen, the Explorer exploded in a brief flash of fire, quickly extinguished in the vacuum of space. "No," Lisa cried out. "We're trapped," Tom said, his voice shaking. Jack stood still, his mind racing. Their ship was gone. Help was weeks away. And now they were stranded on a forbidden warship with an enemy closing in. "Red," he said finally. "What are our options?" The lights on the bridge shifted to a deep crimson, bathing them all in a blood-red glow. "Initiating Blood Moon Protocol," Red announced. "All hands prepare for combat operations." Around them, the ancient warship began to awaken fully, systems humming to life, as the Spectre prepared to fight once more. The bridge of the Spectre pulsed with crimson light. Jack watched as dormant systems awakened around them, displays lighting up with information in languages both familiar and strange. "What exactly is the Blood Moon Protocol?" Jack asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Red's artificial voice seemed calmer now, almost confident. "Blood Moon Protocol. Full combat readiness with minimal crew. Captain Reed designed this system to allow the Spectre to function in emergency situations." Tom was already working at one of the consoles, his fingers flying across unfamiliar controls. "Commander, these weapons systems, I've never seen anything like them. They're not just advanced. They are beyond anything in our current fleet." "Can we contact Earth?" Jack asked. "Negative," Red replied. "Long-range communications require authorization codes you do not possess. Short-range communications are blocked by the asteroid's mineral composition." Emma moved to another station, brushing away dust from a panel. "Then we need to get this ship moving. Those Vrex vessels will be here soon." "Warning. 6 Vrex warships have entered scanning range," Red announced. "They are deploying boarding vessels." Mike drew his sidearm. "Commander, we're 5 people on a ship designed for a crew of hundreds. We can't fight off boarding parties." Jack made a quick decision. "Red, what's the minimum crew needed to move this ship out of the asteroid?" "With my systems at current capacity, 3 bridge officers." "Then that's what we'll do," Jack said. "Emma, you're our engineer. Figure out how to get this ship moving." "Tom, Weapons and defense. Lisa, navigation. He turned to Mike. You and I will try to secure the main access points. We need to buy time. As they rushed to their positions, the ship shuddered. Impact detected. Red stated. Vrex boarding craft has attached to the outer hull. Estimated breach in 5 minutes. Emma called from her station. Commander, I think I can get the engines online, but I need to access the engineering deck. Go, Jack ordered. Mike, go with her. As Emma and Mike disappeared through a doorway, Jack turned to the others. Tom, what do we have for defense? Tom's face was illuminated by the glow of his console. I'm still figuring it out, but these aren't normal weapons, sir. The systems are labeled neutralizers rather than weapons. Red, explain, Jack commanded. The Spectre's primary systems are designed to neutralize enemy capabilities without destruction, Red explained. Captain Reed believed that unnecessary casualties prolonged conflicts. A warship designed not to kill, Lisa said, sounding surprised. That doesn't match the historical records. Many records regarding the Spectre were deliberately falsified, Red stated. Another shudder ran through the ship. Hull breach detected in Sector 7, Red announced. Vrex boarding parties have entered the vessel. Jack activated his comm unit. Mike, Emma, status. Emma's voice came through, breathless. Almost there, Commander. Engineering deck is massive. I've never seen engines like these. Work fast, Jack replied. We have company. He turned to Tom. Do we have internal security systems? Yes, but they're strange, Tom replied, frowning at his console. They're called containment fields. Should I activate them? Do it, Jack ordered. Tom pressed a sequence of controls. Throughout the ship, shimmering red energy fields sprang into existence at key junctions and corridors. Containment fields active, Red confirmed. Vrex movement restricted to non-critical areas. Jack allowed himself a small breath of relief. Lisa, have you figured out navigation yet? Lisa nodded. I think so. But, sir, the controls are different. It's like they're designed to move the ship in ways that shouldn't be possible. What do you mean? Before Lisa could answer, Emma's voice burst from the comm. Commander, I've accessed the main drive system. You won't believe this. It's not a standard FTL drive. The specs call it a phantom drive. A what? Jack asked. It allows the ship to partially phase out of normal spacetime, Emma explained, her voice filled with wonder. That's why they called it the Spectre. When the drive activates, the ship appears as a ghostly image on sensors, like a phantom. Can you activate it? Jack asked. I think so, but... Another violent shake interrupted her. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. Containment field breached in Sector 4, Red announced. Vrex forces advancing toward the bridge. Emma, we need that drive now, Jack shouted. Working on it, she replied. Mike is holding the door, but we got Vrex heading this way too. Tom looked up from his console, alarmed. Commander, sensors show all 6 Vrex ships moving into attack formation. They're charging weapons. Jack made a snap decision. Red, do we have any defensive capabilities we can use right now? Affirmative. The Blood Moon shield can be deployed at 30% capacity. Do it. The lights dimmed momentarily as power redirected. Outside, a red energy field spread from the ship, expanding to engulf the entire asteroid. On the view screen, Jack watched as the Vrex ships fired their weapons. Brilliant beams of energy struck the red shield and dissipated harmlessly. Shield holding, Red reported. However, power reserves for sustained defense are limited without main engines. The comm crackled again. Commander, Emma's voice was triumphant. Phantom drive is spinning up. But we need to clear the asteroid first. Lisa, Jack turned to the navigator. She nodded. Conventional thrusters are online. I can get us out. Do it. The The ancient warship trembled as thrusters that had been dormant for 2 centuries fired to life. Slowly, the Spectre began to move within its rocky cocoon. Structural integrity of the asteroid is failing, Red warned. Recommend immediate evacuation. Lisa, full thrust, Jack ordered. The ship lurched forward. On the view screens, they watched as the Spectre broke free from its hiding place, chunks of rock and ice scattering around them. The red shield continued to absorb weapons fire from the wrecked ships. We're clear, Lisa announced. Emma, activate the Phantom Drive, Jack commanded. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a deep vibration ran through the ship, unlike anything Jack had ever felt before. The lights flickered, then steadied, taking on a blood-red hue. Phantom Drive engaged, Red announced. The space around the Spectre seemed to bend and twist. Through the view screen, Jack watched in awe as the ship began to shimmer, its outline becoming ghostly and indistinct. The wrecked ships continued to fire, but their weapons passed harmlessly through the Spectre's now semi-corporeal form. It's working, Tom whispered. Phantom state achieved, Red confirmed. The wrecks cannot track or engage us while in this state. However, the drive can only be maintained for 17 minutes before requiring a cooling period. Lisa, get us away from here, Jack ordered. As the Spectre glided away from the asteroid field, now appearing as little more than a blood-red ghost ship to any who might see it, Jack allowed himself a moment to absorb what had happened. In less than 2 hours, they had gone from a routine investigation to being stranded on a legendary warship under attack by an ancient enemy. And now they were fleeing on a vessel with technology that defied the laws of physics as they understood them. The comm activated again. Commander, Emma's voice was quiet now, almost reverent. You need to see what's in the main data vault. I found Captain Reed's personal logs, and, sir, the real reason this ship was hidden has nothing to do with what the history books say. Jack exchanged glances with Tom and Lisa. What did you find? The wrecks weren't defeated 200 years ago, Emma replied. They retreated because of what the Spectre could do. And now they're back. Captain Reed knew this day would come. That's why he hid the ship instead of destroying it. Jack stared at the view screen, at the stars streaking by as they fled. We need to warn Earth. That's just it, sir, Emma said, her voice heavy. According to these logs, some people on Earth already know. The Spectre drifted through space like a blood-red mist. Inside the bridge, Jack stared at the main view screen, his mind racing with Emma's revelation. Red, drop Phantom Drive and establish secure communications, he ordered. Complying, the AI responded. Phantom Drive disengaging. The ship shuddered slightly as it returned to normal space. The crimson glow faded, and the familiar stars became solid points of light again. Set course for the nearest Earth outpost, Jack said to Lisa. Tom, keep sensors at maximum range. The wrecks might still be tracking us. Jack activated the internal comm. Emma, Mike, report to the bridge. Bring whatever data you found. While he waited, Jack studied the ship's systems. The Spectre was unlike any vessel he had ever commanded. Its technology was both familiar and alien, as if someone had taken standard human designs and pushed them centuries ahead. The bridge doors slid open as Emma and Mike entered. Emma's face was flushed with excitement despite the danger they were in. She carried a small data tablet. Commander, you need to see this, she said, handing him the tablet. It's Captain Reed's final log entry before he hid the ship. Jack activated the tablet. A man's face appeared, middle-aged, with tired eyes and a short gray beard. Captain Marcus Reed, the legendary hero of the Galactic War. This is my final entry. Reed's recording began. The War Council believes the Spectre was destroyed in the Battle of Proxima Centauri. That's what I wanted them to think. The truth is more complicated. Reed paused, looking off camera before continuing. The Spectre was built with technology we weren't supposed to have. Technology that could end war forever. That's what scared them. Not the Vrex, but our own leaders. War is profitable. Peace is not. Jack looked up at his crew. They were all watching the recording intently. The Vrex will return, Reed continued. They always plan to. That's why I've hidden the Spectre instead of destroying it. Someday, someone will find this ship. When that happens, it means the Vrex are back. The ship's ad will activate only when it detects their energy signatures. Reed leaned closer to the camera, his expression grim. Whoever you are, watching this, be careful who you trust. There are people in Earth Command who made deals with the Vrex. They gained power during the war and don't want it to end. They'd rather see humanity fall than lose their position. The recording ended. The bridge was silent. Could it be true? Lisa asked finally, is Earth Command working with the enemy? Before Jack could answer, Red's voice interrupted. Transmission detected. Vrex communication frequency. Can you decode it? Jack asked. Affirmative, Red replied. Translating. The bridge speakers crackled. A harsh, clicking language filled the air, followed by Red's translation. Fleet Commander Kraz to High Council. The human ship Spectre has been located and engaged. It has activated its phantom technology and escaped, requesting reinforcements for pursuit. A different voice responded. Permission granted. The Spectre must not reach Earth territory. Our human allies have been notified. They will intercept if the ship approaches any outposts. Jack's blood ran cold. Our human allies. Captain Reed was right. Set course away from Earth space, Jack ordered immediately. Sir. Lisa looked confused. We can't trust Earth Command. Not until we know who's involved. Jack turned to Emma. Are there any safe locations in Reed's logs? Places he might have used as a backup? Emma scrolled through the data. There's mention of an outpost at Ta City. Apparently, Reed set it up as a fallback position. Lisa, set course for Ta City, Jack ordered. Red, can we use the Phantom Drive again? Phantom Drive cooling cycle complete in 17 minutes, Red replied. Commander, Tom called from his station. I'm picking up a transmission on an Earth military frequency. It's an alert about us. Put it through, Jack said grimly. A formal military voice filled the bridge. To all Earth vessels and outposts. Be advised, the research vessel Explorer has been lost with all hands. Believed destroyed by unknown hostiles. Any vessels claiming to be Commander Reynolds or his crew are to be considered imposters and detained immediately. Mike swore under his breath. They're setting us up. If we try to contact anyone, they'll arrest us or worse, Jack finished. Emma had moved to one of the engineering consoles. Commander, I've been studying the Phantom Drive. It's more than just a cloaking system. When active, it allows the ship to travel through a different layer of spacetime. Can we use it to reach Ta City faster? Jack asked. Emma nodded. Much faster. And will be untraceable while in phantom state. Do it as soon as the cooling cycle is complete, Jack ordered. The next few hours were tense. The crew worked to understand the Spectre systems better while staying alert for pursuit. Jack studied Reed's logs, learning more about the ship's true capabilities. The Phantom Drive is ready, Red announced finally. Engage, Jack ordered. Once again, the ship shimmered and shifted, becoming a ghostly crimson apparition. The stars outside blurred in a way unlike normal faster-than-light travel. This is amazing, Emma whispered, studying the readings on her console. We're not just moving through space, we're partially shifting into another dimension. How long to Ta City? Jack asked. At this speed, approximately 6 hours, Lisa replied. That's impossible by normal standards. It should take days. As they traveled, Jack gathered his crew in what had once been the ship's tactical room. Star maps and data displays covered the walls. We need to understand what we're dealing with, he said. The Vrex Earth Command, this ship, it's all connected. Tom had been analyzing the ship's sensor logs. According to the data, the Vrex have been building up forces at the edge of their territory for years. The energy signatures match recent unexplained readings from our border outposts. And Earth Command has been ignoring them, Mike added bitterly. Emma had been quiet, working on her tablet. She looked up suddenly. I think I understand why this ship was so important. The Spectre doesn't just have advanced weapons. It has a technology called the Harmony Field. It can disable weapons systems without harming the ships or people using them. A way to force peace, Jack said, thinking aloud. No wonder some people wanted it hidden. You can't profit from war if war becomes impossible. Lisa, who had been monitoring navigation, interrupted. Commander, we're approaching Toph City. Red says the Phantom Drive needs to disengage for the final approach. Take us out of Phantom State, Jack ordered as they returned to the bridge. The ship shimmered back into normal space. Ahead of them, a small rocky moon orbited a gas giant. Nothing seemed special about it at first glance. Scanning, Tom reported. I'm detecting a small facility built into the moon's surface. It appears abandoned. Red, any recognition codes we should transmit? Jack asked. Captain Reed left protocols for this situation, Red confirmed. Transmitting authentication now. Seconds later, lights appeared on the moon's surface, forming a landing pattern. Take us in, Jack ordered. As the Spectre approached the hidden base, Jack wondered what secrets they would find there, and whether they would be enough to counter the threats gathering against them. Between the returning Vrex and corrupt officials in Earth Command, they needed every advantage they could get. The ghost ship descended toward the moon, its blood-red hull reflecting the distant starlight, as it prepared to reveal more of its secrets. The Spectre landed gently on the surface of the small moon. A hidden hangar door had opened to receive them, closing behind the ship once it was safely inside. The crew stood at the main airlock, suited up and ready to explore. Atmosphere readings, Jack asked. Tom checked his scanner. Breathable, but cold. The base seems to be in low-power mode. Red, any information about this place? Jack asked the ship's eye. This facility was designated Haven by Captain Reed, Red replied. It was constructed secretly during the final years of the Galactic War as a research station. Research for what? Emma asked. For the technology that would eventually be installed in the Spectre, Red answered. The logs indicate that Captain Reed and a small team of scientists worked here, away from military oversight. Jack nodded. Let's move out. Stay alert. The airlock cycled open, and the five of them stepped into a dimly lit corridor. Their footsteps echoed in the silence. The base showed no signs of damage or hurried evacuation, just the slow decay of time. 200 years, Lisa whispered. No one has been here for 200 years. They followed the main corridor until it opened into a large central room. As they entered, lights activated automatically, revealing what appeared to be a command center. Workstations lined the walls, and a large central table displayed a holographic map of the galaxy. This place is amazing, Emma said, moving toward one of the consoles. The technology is old, but it's been preserved perfectly. Jack approached the central table. Red, can you interface with the base's systems? Establishing connection, Red confirmed through their comm units. After a moment, the holographic display flickered and expanded, showing detailed star maps with various locations marked in red. These are Vrex movements, Tom said, studying the display. Recent ones, based on the timestamps. They've been building up forces along 3 different approach vectors to Earth space. But why hasn't Earth detected this? Lisa asked. Emma, who had been examining one of the workstations, called out suddenly. I think I found something. She pressed a sequence of controls, and a hidden door slid open at the far end of the room. Beyond the door was a smaller chamber dominated by a simple pedestal. On it rested an old-fashioned data crystal and a handwritten note. Jack picked up the note and read aloud. If you found this, then the Spectre has awakened. What follows is the truth. Make your choice wisely. Marcus Reed. Mike took the data crystal, Let's see what the captain wanted us to know. They returned to the command center, where Mike inserted the crystal into a compatible slot. The holographic display changed, showing Captain Reed sitting at his desk. He looked older than in the previous recording. "This is my final testimony," Reed began. "I've hidden the Spectre and established this base as a last resort. What I'm about to share is known only to a handful of people, most of whom are now dead." Reed's image stood and moved to a display showing technical schematics. The Spectre was built around a technology we call the Harmony Core. It was developed by Dr. Anna Chen, a brilliant physicist who discovered a way to create fields that could neutralize energy weapons without harming organic life. The hologram showed the ship's internal structure, highlighting a glowing sphere at its center. The Harmony Core doesn't just disarm weapons, it creates zones of enforced peace. Within its field, no weapon can function, no deception can be maintained. It creates, in essence, a bubble of truth and nonviolence. Jack glanced at his crew. They all watched, transfixed. When the Vrex discovered what we had built, they offered a deal to certain high-ranking officials in Earth Command. They would retreat, appear to accept defeat, in exchange for the Spectre being destroyed. These officials agreed, seeing an opportunity to end the war while maintaining the lucrative military-industrial complex. Reed's face hardened with anger. "I was ordered to scuttle my ship with all hands. Instead, I faked our destruction and brought the Spectre here. My crew agreed to be placed in stasis and scattered throughout the colonies with new identities. I alone remained to finish this work." The hologram changed to show a complex diagram of space. The Vrex never intended to honor the peace. Their plan was always to rebuild and return stronger. The officials who made the deal knew this. They wanted another war eventually. War means power. War means profit. Peace means they become unnecessary. Reed looked directly at the camera, his eyes intense. "The Spectre isn't a weapon of war. It's a weapon against war itself. The Harmony Core can be expanded to create permanent zones of peace. It can't be used for conquest, only for ending conflict. That's why both sides feared it." The recording paused briefly, then continued. "Whoever you are, you now face a choice. The Spectre can be destroyed, as it should have been centuries ago, or it can be used as it was meant to be, to create a lasting peace. But be warned, powerful people will stop at nothing to prevent the latter." The recording ended, leaving the room in silence. Jack was the first to speak. "Red, is this true? Can the Harmony Core really do what Reed claimed?" "Affirmative," Red replied. "The Harmony Core is currently operating at 23% capacity. At full power, it can create a field extending up to 1 light-year in diameter. Within this field, all weapons are neutralized, and all communications become impossible to falsify. Truth and peace, enforced by technology," Emma said quietly. "No wonder they wanted it hidden." Tom, who had been monitoring the base's sensors, suddenly straightened. "Commander, we have a problem. There's a ship approaching, Earth military design. How did they find us?" Lissa asked, alarmed. Mike checked his suit and found a small device attached to his collar. "A tracker," he said grimly. "They must have planted it when we were investigating the asteroid." "How long until they arrive?" Jack asked. "Less than an hour," Tom replied. "And that's not all," Lisa added, checking another console. "Long-range sensors are picking up multiple ships on the edge of the system. Vrex design." Jack looked around at his crew, then back at the frozen image of Captain Reed. "We have a decision to make," he said. "We can destroy the Spectre as originally ordered, or we can use it," Emma finished. "Use it the way it was meant to be used." Jack nodded. If what Reed said is true, there are corrupt officials working with the Vrex. A new war would benefit both sides. The officials get more power, and the Vrex get their revenge. And millions die, Mike added grimly. "But we're 5 people against 2 powerful forces," Lisa pointed out. "How can we possibly succeed?" Jack looked back at the holographic display. which now showed the approaching Earth ship and the distant Vrex fleet. The Spectre was built to end wars, not fight them, he said. Maybe it's time we used it for its true purpose. He turned to his crew, his expression resolute. Return to the ship. Emma, I need you to get the Harmony core to full power. Tom, prepare all systems for battle. Defensive only. Lisa, plot a course for Earth. We're going to expose the truth. And if they try to stop us? Mike asked. Jack's eyes narrowed. Then they'll learn why they called this ship the Blood Moon Spectre. The Spectre lifted off from the secret base just as the Earth military vessel entered orbit around the moon. Jack stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display as Lisa guided their ship away from the small planetoid. They're hailing us, Tom reported. Ignore it, Jack replied. Emma, status on the Harmony core. Emma's voice came through the comm from the engineering deck. Power levels rising. Currently at 47% capacity and climbing. I've never seen anything like this technology, Commander. It's beautiful. Time to Phantom drive readiness, Jack asked. 3 minutes, Red answered. On the view screen, the Earth military ship grew larger as it moved to intercept them. It was a modern destroyer, heavily armed, and much larger than the Spectre. They're charging weapons, Tom warned. Hold course, Jack ordered. Mike, are you ready? Mike had been working at the communications console. Broadcast package prepared. Once we're in range of the main communication relays, we can send Reed's message and all the evidence we found to every ship, station, and colony in Earth space simultaneously. The destroyer fired a warning shot that flashed past the Spectre's bow. 60 seconds to Phantom drive, Red announced. Jack leaned forward in the command chair. Lisa, plot a course directly to Earth. Maximum speed. Earth. Lisa looked back at him, surprised. That's where they'll expect us to go. Exactly, Jack said with a grim smile. And I'm counting on it. The destroyer fired again, this time striking the Spectre shields. The ship shuddered under the impact. Shields holding at 92%, Red reported. Phantom drive ready. Engage, Jack ordered. The familiar shimmer enveloped the ship as it phased partially out of normal space. The destroyer's next volley passed harmlessly through their ghostly form. Set course for Earth, maximum speed, Jack ordered. The stars blurred as the Spectre accelerated to speeds no normal ship could match. In the Phantom state, the laws of physics bent, allowing them to cross the distance to Earth in hours rather than days. Jack gathered his crew on the bridge as they traveled. When we reach Earth, we'll have one chance to expose the truth. The Harmony core is the key. How do we use it? Lisa asked. According to Reed's logs, Emma explained, at full power, the Harmony core can project what he called the truth field across an entire star system. Inside that field, no weapons can fire, and no lies can be told. No lies? Mike looked skeptical. How does that work? It's not mind control, Emma clarified. It's more like, it strips away deception. Communications become impossible to falsify. Anyone trying to lie experiences a kind of mental feedback loop that makes it physically uncomfortable. And this is what had the Vrex so scared, Tom added. A technology that forces truth and peace. Jack nodded. Our plan is simple. We reach Earth, activate the Harmony core at full power, and broadcast everything we've learned. With the truth field active, the conspirators won't be able to deny it. We're going to need a distraction, Mike pointed out. Earth's defense grid will target us the moment we drop out of Phantom state. I've been thinking about that, Jack said. Red, can the Spectre appear to be in multiple places at once while in Phantom state? Affirmative, Red replied. The Phantom drive can create echo images that will register on sensors as solid objects for 73 seconds before dissolving. Jack smiled. Perfect. 6 hours later, the Spectre approached Earth. The blue-green planet filled the view screen, surrounded by defense platforms and military vessels. Multiple ships on intercept course, Tom reported. They're hailing all vessels in the system, warning them about us. Jack took a deep breath. Time for the blood moon to rise. Emma, is the Harmony core ready? At 98% capacity, she confirmed from engineering. Ready when you are. Red, create phantom echoes. Target all major defense platforms. Creating echoes, Red confirmed. The Spectre remained in phantom state, but suddenly dozens of ghostly red images of the ship appeared throughout the system. Defense platforms and military vessels immediately began targeting these echoes, creating confusion. Now, Lisa, take us into low Earth orbit. Position us above the main military headquarters. The Spectre moved silently through the chaos, its true form hidden among the phantom echoes. In position, Lisa reported. Jack stood from his command chair. Emma, activate the Harmony core at full power. Mike, begin the broadcast. Deep within the ship, the Harmony core pulsed with energy. A wave of crimson light spread outward from the Spectre, engulfing the Earth and extending throughout the solar system. As it passed over ships and stations, weapons systems went offline. Communication channels cleared of static and interference. The truth field is active, Red announced. All weapons in the system have been neutralized. Mike activated the broadcast. Captain Reed's face appeared on screens across the planet and on every ship and station in the system. The evidence followed. Records of secret meetings, communications with the Vrex, plans for a new war that would sacrifice millions for the profit and power of a few. Multiple ships approaching, Tom mourned. But they're not firing. They can't. On the main view screen, a new ship appeared, larger than the others, with the insignia of the Earth Fleet Admiral. They're hailing us, Tom said, sounding surprised. Put it through, Jack ordered. The face of Fleet Admiral Davis appeared on the screen. His expression was a mixture of rage and fear. What have you done? He demanded. Jack met his gaze steadily. We've activated the truth field, Admiral. No weapons can fire. No lies can be told. You might want to be careful what you say next. The Admiral's face contorted as he tried to speak. Then he gasped in pain. The truth field was working. He couldn't lie. The Vrex, he began, then stopped, fighting against the field. Are approaching Earth space right now, Jack finished for him. But they won't find the easy victory you promised them. The Spectre wasn't destroyed as you ordered Captain Reed to do 2 centuries ago. It was preserved for this moment. Throughout the system, regular citizens and honest military personnel watched the broadcast with shock and growing anger. The corruption was being exposed in real time, and the conspirators could not deny it. This is just the beginning, Jack continued, addressing not just the Admiral, but everyone watching. The Harmony core doesn't just create temporary peace. It can be calibrated to establish permanent zones where weapons simply won't function and truth is the only currency. The Admiral's face had gone pale. You can't do this. War is necessary. It drives innovation, strengthens. He gasped again as the field prevented his lies. War only serves those who profit from it, Jack replied. And that ends today. As they spoke, sensors detected the approaching Vrex fleet. Dozens of warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system, only to find themselves caught in the truth field as well. Open a channel to the Vrex flagship, Jack ordered. The alien commander appeared on screen alongside Admiral Davis. The Vrex looked like a tall, insectoid being with multiple eyes and mandibles. Your weapons won't work here, Jack told the Vrex commander. Neither will your deceptions. The deal you made with corrupt officials in Earth Command is now public knowledge. The Vrex commander clicked angrily. This changes nothing. We will. He too seemed to struggle against the truth field. You'll do nothing, Jack interrupted, because now everyone knows the truth. And the Spectre will remain on guard, ready to activate the Harmony core whenever necessary. Jack looked at his crew, Emma, Tom, Lisa, and Mike, and saw in their faces the same determination he felt. "This ship wasn't built to win wars," he said, addressing everyone listening across the system. "It was built to end them. And that's exactly what we're going to do." Around the Earth, the crimson glow of the Harmony Field pulsed like a heartbeat, like the rising of a blood moon. The forbidden warship had awakened, just as Captain Reed had foreseen. And with it came not destruction, but the possibility of a lasting peace. The Spectre would remain, a ghostly guardian ready to rise whenever darkness threatened. Its name would be whispered with awe and hope. The Blood Moon Spectre, the ship that brought truth to a world built on lies. The rain fell hard on the dirty windows of James Miller's small apartment. He sat alone, watching old videos of space launches on his screen. 5 years had passed since they kicked him out of the Space Force. 5 years since the accident that wasn't his fault. James took another drink from his bottle. His medal for bravery hung crooked on the wall, a reminder of better days. A sudden knock on his door made him jump. "Captain Miller, are you in there?" A woman's voice called. James didn't want visitors. He hadn't showered in 3 days, but something about the voice made him curious. "Coming," he said, hiding the bottle under his couch. When he opened the door, a tall woman in a black suit stood there. Her gray hair was pulled back tight, and her eyes looked tired but determined. "My name is Ellen Ward, Director of the Global Space Initiative," she said. "May I come in?" James laughed. The GSI was the biggest space agency in the world. Why would its director come to his small, dirty apartment? "Sure," he said. "Sorry about the mess." Director Ward stepped inside, looking around but not judging. She sat down on the only clean chair. "I'll be direct, Captain Miller. Earth is dying faster than we thought. The air quality index hit record lows last month. The oceans are 30% more acidic than 5 years ago. And the latest food shortage has left 3 billion people on rations." James nodded. Everyone knew things were bad. That's why so many rich people were buying tickets to the Mars colonies. "What does this have to do with me?" he asked. "I'm not a scientist. I'm just a pilot who crashed a very expensive ship." Director Ward smiled for the first time. "That's not what the black box data showed, is it? You saved 12 lives that day by making an impossible landing." James looked away. "Tell that to the review board." "I did," she said, pulling out a small device. She placed it on the table, and it projected a 3D image of a beautiful blue-green planet. "This is Kepler 186f. Our long-range scans show it has breathable air, liquid water, and soil that could grow Earth crops." "It's also 500 light-years away," James said. "Even with our best ships, it would take thousands of years to reach. Unless we could travel faster than light." Director Ward's eyes locked with his. James laughed again, louder this time. "Everyone knows that's impossible. Einstein proved it. The physics doesn't work." "That's what they say," Director Ward agreed. "But what if they're wrong?" She pressed another button on her device. A new image appeared. A sleek spaceship unlike any James had ever seen. "This is the Horizon. We built it in secret over the last decade. It uses a new quantum tunneling drive that our best scientists think might, just might, allow for faster-than-light travel." James stared at the ship. It was beautiful, with smooth lines and an unusual engine configuration. 3 test ships with similar technology disappeared over the past 5 years. Director Ward continued. "The scientific community says it's proof the technology doesn't work, but we discovered something they missed." She showed him complicated data that James didn't fully understand. But one thing was clear. There were patterns in the disappearances that suggested the ships didn't break apart. They went somewhere. "We need a pilot, Captain Miller. Someone who can think outside the normal rules when things go wrong. Someone who's not afraid to try the impossible." James looked at his medal on the wall, then back at the director. "Why would anyone agree to this? It sounds like a suicide mission. Because if we don't find a new home soon, humanity won't survive another century on Earth, And because I'm offering you command of the most advanced ship ever built. A chance to make history, or die trying. James thought about his empty life. The bottle under the couch. The nights staring at the ceiling wondering what could have been. When do we leave? He asked. 2 months later, James stood in front of the horizon, docked in the GSI's secret orbital facility. The ship was even more impressive up close, its hull gleaming under the station lights. "She's ready for the final crew inspection, Captain," said Tom Reed, a stocky man with grease-stained hands. As chief engineer, Tom had a reputation for fixing unfixable machines. His last job had ended when he punched his supervisor for cutting safety corners. "How does she look?" James asked. Tom patted the hull. "Like nothing ever built before. The quantum drive is installed and running in test mode. If it works like the models predict," he whistled, "we'll be making history, Captain." Dr. Lisa Cooper approached them, her tablet filled with equations. The youngest physicist ever to win the Nobel Prize, she'd later been pushed out of academic circles for her crazy theories about quantum space. "The drive calculations are complete," she said. "But I need to warn you again. We're pushing into unknown territory. The math suggests it will work, but math has been wrong before. That's why we have you," James said with a smile. "If anyone can solve new problems on the fly, it's you." Michael Davis joined them next. The communications specialist had an unusual talent for understanding patterns and signals. The military had let him go after he developed severe anxiety that kept him from working in normal team settings. "All comm systems are green," Michael said quietly, avoiding eye contact. "But I keep picking up strange background signals when we test the quantum field. It's like echoes of something." "Noted," James said. "Keep monitoring it." Finally, the ship's AI interface flickered to life on a nearby screen. Aeroya, Advanced Responsive Intelligence Assistant, had been programmed specifically for this mission. "Good morning, Captain Miller," Aeroya said. "All systems are functioning within parameters. The quantum drive is stable at 22% capacity." James looked at his unusual crew, brilliant minds that conventional organizations had thrown away. Director Ward had chosen them carefully. People with something to prove. People who weren't afraid to try the impossible. Outside the station viewports, Earth hung in space, its once blue oceans now brownish, its clouds tinted yellow from pollution. Their home. Their dying home. "Final preparations complete," Tom announced. "We can launch in 6 hours." James nodded. "Send the message to Director Ward. We're ready." As the crew dispersed to their final duties, James stayed looking at the ship. On every news channel, scientists were calling the mission a waste of resources. Impossible. Foolish. A desperate attempt that would end in disaster. James smiled. They said it couldn't be done. They said faster than light travel was a fantasy. "We'll see about that," he whispered to himself. The horizon waited, ready to make history, or become another failed footnote in humanity's last desperate chapter. The horizon left Earth's orbit with little fanfare. No cheering crowds, no big ceremony, just a small message from Director Ward. "Make us proud." In the captain's chair, James felt the ship hum beneath him. It was different from any ship he had flown before. Smoother, almost alive. "All systems normal, Captain," said Aria, the ship's eye. Her voice came from speakers around the bridge. "We are clear of Earth's gravity well." James nodded. "Tom, how's our engine?" Tom Reed's face appeared on a screen. He was in the engine room, surrounded by glowing blue equipment. "The regular drives are working perfectly. We're ready to test the quantum drive at your command." James looked at his crew. Michael sat at communications, his fingers tapping nervously on his console. Dr. Cooper checked and rechecked her calculations. "Everyone ready?" James asked. When they all nodded, he took a deep breath. "Prepare for quantum drive test. Start at 10% power." Dr. Cooper spoke up. "Remember, the theory suggests we'll create a tunnel through space-time. We should move instantly from one point to another without crossing the space between. If it works, Michael added quietly. It will work, James said firmly. Tom, start the countdown. Tom's voice came through the speakers. Quantum drive activating in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The blue glow from the engine grew brighter. James felt a strange tingling in his body. The stars on the view screen began to stretch. Then everything went white. When James could see again, he blinked in surprise. The stars looked different. Araya, where are we? He asked. Calculating. The AI replied. After a moment, she added, we appear to be 2.3 light-years from our starting position. The bridge went silent. They had just traveled a distance that would normally take years in less than a second. Dr. Cooper laughed with delight. It worked. The quantum drive actually worked. Even Michael smiled slightly. No ship has ever gone this far this fast. Tom's face reappeared on the screen. He looked worried. Captain, the drive is showing some unusual readings. Temperature is higher than expected. Can we use it again? James asked. Yes, but we should wait a few hours to let it cool down. James nodded. We'll run more tests tomorrow. For now, let's gather all the data we can. Over the next week, they tested the quantum drive in short jumps. Each time, they went farther. But each time, the engine ran hotter. In the engine room, Tom worked day and night to keep the drive stable. The problem, he explained during a crew meeting, is that the quantum field becomes more unstable the farther we try to jump. Dr. Cooper nodded. It's like stretching a rubber band. The more you stretch it, the more force it takes, and the more likely it is to snap. Can we fix it? James asked. I'm trying, Tom said. But we're dealing with technology nobody fully understands. Meanwhile, Michael had made a strange discovery. I keep picking up signals, he told James privately. They're very faint, but they don't match any known pattern. Could it be interference from the drive? Michael shook his head. No, these signals, they almost seem like they're responding to us. Like something is watching. James was about to ask more when ARIA interrupted. Captain, I'm detecting an anomaly ahead. On the view screen, space itself seemed to ripple. What is that? James asked. Dr. Cooper studied her readings. It appears to be a distortion in space-time, similar to what our drive creates, but much larger. Is it dangerous? Before she could answer, the ship shuddered violently. We're being pulled toward it, Tom shouted from the engine room. The gravity is too strong. Full power to the regular engines, James ordered. Back us away. The engines roared to life, but the ship continued to drift toward the anomaly. It's not working, Michael said, his voice rising with fear. James made a quick decision. Tom, prepare the quantum drive. Captain, it's not fully cooled down yet, Tom warned. We don't have a choice. Set coordinates for a short jump, just enough to get us clear. As Tom worked, the anomaly grew larger on the screen. The ship shook harder. Quantum drive ready, Tom reported, but I can't guarantee where we'll end up. Do it, James ordered. Again, the blue glow filled the ship. Again, everything went white. This time, when James could see again, nothing looked familiar. The stars were arranged in patterns he didn't recognize. Araya, where are we? He asked, his mouth dry. After a long pause, Araya replied, Unknown, Captain. I cannot match these star patterns to any in my database. Dr. Cooper worked frantically at her station. According to these readings, we've jumped much farther than intended. Possibly hundreds of light years. The bridge fell silent as the reality sank in. They were lost. The quantum drive is overheated, Tom reported. It will take days to cool down enough for another jump. James looked at his worried crew. All right, let's figure out where we are. Michael, scan for any signals. Dr. Cooper, see if you can identify any nearby star systems. Tom, Do whatever you can to get that drive working again." As the crew hurried to obey, James stared at the unfamiliar stars. They had wanted to make history by proving faster-than-light travel was possible. Now they had gone further than they ever planned, with no clear way back. In the following days, strange things began to happen. Crew members reported seeing shadows move when no one was there. Time seemed to flow differently in different parts of the ship. Sometimes an hour passed on the bridge while only minutes passed in the engine room. Dr. Cooper spent hours studying the data. "I think I understand what's happening," she finally told the others. "When we use the quantum drive, we don't just move through space. We move through what I call quantum space, a layer of reality where normal physics doesn't fully apply." "Is that why we're seeing these strange effects?" James asked. "Yes. And I think," she hesitated, "I think the drive is changing, evolving. Each time we use it, it works differently." Meanwhile, Michael made another discovery. "Captain, I've been analyzing those strange signals. They're not random. They contain patterns, mathematical sequences." "What does that mean?" James asked. Michael looked up, his eyes wide. "I think they're messages, and some of them contain Earth languages." The crew stared at him. "Are you saying someone else from Earth has been here?" Tom asked. "I don't know," Michael said, "but these signals are definitely artificial, and they definitely contain human elements." Before they could discuss it further, the ship shuddered again. Warning lights flashed. "Hull breach in Section 4. Area announced. Emergency bulkheads activated." "What happened?" James demanded. "Unknown," Area replied. "But the quantum drive is showing unusual energy spikes." Tom rushed to the engine room. When he returned, his face was grim. "The drive is destabilizing. We need to make a decision, Captain. We can try to limp back toward Earth with conventional engines, a journey that would take generations, or we can attempt one more quantum jump, with no guarantee where we'll end up." James looked at his crew. Despite the fear in their eyes, he saw determination too. "Take a vote," he said. "Do we go back, or do we go forward?" One by one, they gave their answers. "Forward, forward, forward." James nodded. "Forward it is. Prepare for quantum jump." As they worked to prepare the ship, Dr. Cooper approached James privately. "Captain, I've been developing a new theory about quantum space. If I'm right, we might be able to control our jump better than before." "What do you need?" "Time to recalibrate the drive, and faith that my crazy ideas might actually work." James smiled. "If they called it impossible, Dr. Cooper, I'm inclined to believe it's worth trying." Dr. Cooper worked through the night. Her fingers flew across her screen as she rewrote the quantum drive's programming. Tom stood beside her, making adjustments to the engine as she directed. "Are you sure this will work?" Tom asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Not at all," Dr. Cooper admitted. "But our current understanding of physics clearly isn't complete. These anomalies we're seeing suggest there's a pattern to quantum space that we never recognized before." James watched from the doorway. The ship's emergency lights cast everything in a red glow. They had sealed off 3 sections due to damage from the last jump. "How much longer?" he asked. "Almost done," Dr. Cooper said without looking up. "Captain, you should know. This jump will be different. If my calculations are correct, we won't just travel through space. We'll be riding the natural currents of quantum space itself. And if your calculations are wrong," Dr. Cooper finally looked at him, "then we'll probably be torn apart at the atomic level." James nodded. "Just another day on the horizon. Finish up and meet on the bridge in 30 minutes. Back on the bridge, Michael was still studying the strange signals. "Captain, I've managed to isolate one message that repeats more often than the others." He pressed a button, and a scratchy voice filled the bridge. "This is Captain Robert Davis of the GSI ship Pioneer. If anyone receives this message, we made it. I repeat, we made it. The quantum drive works, but we can't get back. If you're hearing this, don't attempt to follow our path unless. The message cut off in static. James stared at Michael. The Pioneer. That was one of the test chips that disappeared. 5 years ago, Michael confirmed. But based on the signal degradation, this message was sent less than 3 years ago. Time dilation, Dr. Cooper said as she entered the bridge. Just like we've been experiencing on the ship, time flows differently in quantum space. Can you trace where the signal came from? James asked. Michael shook his head. Not precisely. But it seems to be coming from somewhere in the system we're approaching. James looked at the view screen, which showed a distant yellow star with several planets orbiting it. Then that's where we're going. Dr. Cooper, are we ready for the jump? Yes, Captain. But I should warn you, I've programmed the drive to follow the same quantum path as the signal. It's our best chance of finding the Pioneer. Do it. Everyone took their positions. The damaged ship groaned around them as the engines powered up. Quantum drive at full power, Tom reported from the engine room. Ready on your command. James took a deep breath. Engage. This time, the jump felt different. Instead of the instant white flash, colors swirled around the ship. James felt as if they were being carried by a powerful river. The sensation lasted nearly a minute before the view screen cleared, showing them a blue-green planet directly ahead. We've arrived in the target system, Araya announced. The third planet appears Earth-like in composition. Life signs? James asked, his heart racing. Araya paused. Detecting vegetation across 60% of the landmass. Animal life forms present. And human life signs. The bridge erupted in excited voices. Humans. Here. How is that possible? The Pioneer crew must have survived. James raised his hand for quiet. Michael, try to contact them. Michael sent out hailing signals on all frequencies. After several tense minutes, a response came through. Unidentified vessel. This is New Hope Colony. Identify yourself immediately. James couldn't believe his ears. A colony? He activated the comm. This is Captain James Miller of the GSI ship Horizon. We've come from Earth. A long pause followed. Then, permission to land granted, Horizon. Sending coordinates now. As they entered orbit, they could see a small settlement near the coast of a large continent. Buildings made of local materials and salvaged ship parts formed a rough circle around a central plaza. James selected a team to go to the surface. Himself, Dr. Cooper, and Michael. Tom would stay aboard to continue repairs on the quantum drive. The landing craft touched down in an open field just outside the settlement. As they stepped out, James was struck by how Earth-like everything seemed. The air smelled fresh, with hints of unfamiliar flowers. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth's, making each step feel bouncy. A group of people waited for them. At the front stood a gray-haired man with a weathered face and a patched uniform, a GSI uniform. The name patch read Davis. Captain Davis, James asked in disbelief. The man nodded. Welcome to Kepler 186F, Captain Miller, or as we call it now, New Hope. Kepler 186F. Dr. Cooper repeated. That's impossible. That was our intended destination, 500 light-years from Earth. Captain Davis smiled. It seems the quantum paths are more predictable than we thought. All 3 test ships ended up here, though we arrived years apart according to our ship's logs. He led them into the settlement, where about 50 people lived and worked. Children played in the central plaza. Gardens grew fruits and vegetables. We've been here for 3 years, Captain Davis explained. Though according to your reaction, much more time has passed on Earth. 5 years since the Pioneer disappeared, James confirmed. Fascinating, Dr. Cooper murmured. The time dilation effect is consistent. As they walked, Captain Davis showed them their farms and workshops. The soil here is perfect for Earth crops with minor adjustments. The local plants have proteins similar to those on Earth. We've even started eating some of the local fruits after careful testing." He led them to a large building made from ship parts. Inside, tables were covered with strange artifacts. "And this," Captain Davis said, "is why you need to stay." The artifacts were clearly not human-made. They featured smooth, flowing designs with embedded crystals that glowed faintly. "We found these in ruins about 20 miles from here," Davis explained. "An ancient civilization lived on this planet once. They're long gone, but they left behind technology we're only beginning to understand." He picked up a small device. "This one seems to be a power source. It's been running continuously since we found it, with no apparent fuel." Dr. Cooper examined a larger artifact. "These crystals, they're arranged in patterns similar to the quantum field equations I've been working on." "Exactly," Davis said. "Whatever race built these, they understood quantum physics far better than we do. And look at this." He led them to a wall covered in strange symbols. In the center was an unmistakable diagram of a solar system, their solar system, with Earth clearly marked. "They knew about us," James whispered. "We think they visited Earth in the distant past," Davis said. "Maybe even helped early humans in some way. We've only translated a small portion of their writing, but it suggests they were watching over several developing species." Michael, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. "The signals I detected. Our warning beacons." Davis nodded. "We placed them along the quantum paths we've mapped. There's something you need to know about this technology." He looked gravely at James. "The quantum drive doesn't just let us travel through space. Used properly, it could reshape reality itself. That's why we've been trying to warn other ships away until we understand it better." James thought of Earth. Polluted, overcrowded, dying. But this planet could save humanity. We need to bring this information back, and risk others misusing this technology before we understand it," Davis asked. Before James could answer, Tom's voice came through his communicator. "Captain, you need to return to the ship immediately. Something's happening to the quantum drive. It's activating on its own." James looked at Dr. Cooper, then back at Davis. "I think the decision just got more complicated." James, Dr. Cooper, and Michael rushed back to their landing craft. Captain Davis followed them. "I'm coming with you," Davis said. "If the quantum drive is activating on its own, I might be able to help. We've studied similar behavior in our ships." The flight back to the horizon was quick. When they reached the ship, they found Tom in the engine room, staring at the quantum drive. The engine glowed with a blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. "It started about 20 minutes ago," Tom explained. "No warning. The energy readings are unlike anything I've seen before." Dr. Cooper examined her screens. "It's creating a quantum field, but it's not initiating a jump. It's almost like it's communicating." "Communicating with what?" James asked. His question was answered as alarms began to sound throughout the ship. "Multiple objects approaching," Araya announced. "They appear to be automated drones of unknown origin." On the bridge view screen, they watched as dozens of sleek, silver objects surrounded the ship. They were unlike any human design, smooth and flowing, with no visible engines or weapons. "They look like the artifacts we found," Davis said. Michael worked at the communications console. "They're broadcasting some kind of signal. It's similar to the patterns in the alien ruins." Suddenly, the quantum drive's pulse quickened, and the blue glow spread throughout the ship's systems. Screens flickered with strange symbols. "The ship's being scanned," Tom said. "They're focusing on the quantum drive." "RIA, what's happening?" James asked. "Unknown entities are attempting to access my systems," the AI responded, her voice distorted. "They appear to be curious." "Not hostile?" James asked. "Negative. But defensive protocols are activating in response to their intrusion." James made a quick decision. "Shut down defensive systems. Let them look." "Captain?" Tom questioned. "If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done it already," James reasoned. They're interested in the drive. Let's not give them a reason to see us as a threat. The tension on the bridge was thick as the alien drones continued their scan. Minutes passed. Then, as suddenly as they had appeared, the drones backed away from the ship. But they didn't leave. They formed a ring around the horizon, keeping their distance but clearly standing guard. "We're being contained," James said. Dr. Cooper had been studying the data from the scan. "Captain, I think I understand what's happening. The quantum drive is based on technology similar to what these aliens used. When we activated it in their home system, it triggered some kind of automated defense." "Defense against what?" Davis asked. "I don't know, but—" Dr. Cooper stopped mid-sentence as Aria's holographic form flickered and changed. The A's usual human appearance was replaced by swirling patterns of light. "Captain Miller," Aria said, her voice now containing strange harmonics, "I am receiving data packets embedded in the scans. They contain memories." "Memories," James repeated. "Historical records," Aria clarified. "They are being integrated into my systems. I am seeing the history of this world." Everyone on the bridge watched in silence as Aria processed the information. "The beings who built these defenses call themselves the predecessors," Aria finally said. "They evolved on this planet approximately 3 million years ago. They developed quantum technology that allowed them to travel between stars and even dimensions. Images appeared on the screens around them. Strange, tall beings with 4 arms and crystalline growths on their bodies. They discovered that quantum technology could be dangerous," Aria continued. "It could tear holes in reality if used incorrectly. They fought a war with another species that wanted to use the technology as a weapon." "What happened to them?" James asked. "They left," Aria said. "The war damaged the fabric of reality in this region of space. They sealed the damage and departed to another dimension, leaving behind automated systems to prevent the technology from being misused again. And now these systems see us as a threat," Davis concluded. "Not exactly," Aria said. "The defense system is evaluating our intentions. The predecessors left protocols for identifying worthy successors who might safely use their knowledge." Dr. Cooper's eyes widened. "That's why all the ships ended up here. The quantum paths were designed to bring anyone using this technology to this world for evaluation." "So what do we do?" Tom asked. "How do we prove we're worthy?" Aria's form shifted again. "The defense system requires proof that we understand the responsibilities that come with this technology. It wants access to our full database of knowledge and history. It wants to know everything about humanity." Michael asked nervously. "Yes," Aria confirmed. "Both our achievements and our failures." James considered this. Showing an alien system humanity's complete history, including wars, environmental destruction, and cruelty, was a risk. But hiding the truth would surely fail their test. "The predecessors weren't looking for perfect beings," Dr. Cooper said, as if reading his thoughts. "They were looking for those who could learn from mistakes." James nodded. "Aria, grant the system access to your complete historical database. Hold nothing back." The blue glow intensified as Aria connected with the defense system. The drones outside moved closer, their silver surfaces reflecting the light from the planet below. Hours passed as the exchange of information continued. James and his crew waited, unable to do anything but watch as humanity's entire history was examined by ancient alien protocols. Finally, the blue light faded, and Aria returned to her normal appearance. "It is done," she said. "The defense system has rendered its judgment." James held his breath. "And we have been granted provisional access," Aria said. "The system recognizes our potential, but also our capacity for destruction. It will allow us to leave with limited knowledge of quantum technology, enough to return to Earth safely, but not the full capabilities of the predecessors." The drones outside began to disperse, but one approached the ship. It attached itself to the hull near the quantum drive. "It's modifying our drive," Tom reported, checking his readings. But it's not damaging it. It's improving it. The system is giving us a safer version of the technology, Dr. Cooper realized. One with limits built in to prevent misuse. Captain Davis looked troubled. But what about the colony? What about everything we've learned here? Araya answered before James could. The colony may remain. The defense system considers it a test case, a small human presence to observe over time. But no more ships can come here until humanity passes further tests. What tests? James asked. Unknown, Araya replied. But the data suggests they involve how we use the limited technology we've been given. If we prove ourselves responsible, more knowledge will be shared in time. James looked at the view screen, at the beautiful planet below that could have been humanity's new home. Then he thought of Earth, still their home, still worth saving. We have what we came for, he said, a working FTL drive that can get us back to Earth safely, and knowledge that we're not alone in the universe. That will have to be enough for now. Dr. Cooper nodded. Maybe that's the point. We need to earn the right to more. Outside, the last of the drones departed, leaving only stars visible through the view screen. But James knew they were still being watched. The horizon now carried hope for Earth, and a test for all humanity. The horizon prepared to leave orbit around New Hope. Captain Davis had returned to the colony after helping the crew understand the modifications to their quantum drive. Remember, Davis had told James before leaving, the predecessors are still watching. What humanity does with this technology will determine our future. James stood on the bridge, looking at the beautiful blue-green planet below. It seems wrong to leave such a perfect world, he said to no one in particular. Dr. Cooper stood beside him. We'll come back someday. When we're ready. If we're ever ready, Michael added quietly. Tom's voice came through the comm. Captain, the quantum drive is fully integrated with the alien modifications. According to my readings, it's actually more stable now. We should be able to make the return jump in one go. One jump all the way back to Earth? James asked, surprised. Yes, sir, Tom confirmed. The alien technology is incredible. It's like they fixed all the flaws in our design without changing the basic principles. James nodded. Prepare for departure. Set course for Earth. As the horizon moved away from the planet, James thought about what they were bringing home. A working faster-than-light drive. Biological samples from New Hope that could help Earth's damaged ecosystem, and evidence that humanity was not alone in the universe. But most importantly, they were bringing a message that the universe was bigger and stranger than anyone had imagined, and that humanity had both great potential and great responsibility. Quantum drive ready, Tom reported. Take us home, James ordered. The now familiar blue glow filled the ship, but this time there was no discomfort, no sense of being stretched or compressed. It felt natural, as if the ship was sliding along invisible rails through space. The jump lasted nearly 5 minutes, but when it ended, the familiar sight of Earth and its moon filled the view screen. We're home, Michael whispered. But something was wrong. Earth looked different. The continents were the same, but the colors were off. There was less brown, more green and blue. Araya, what's the date? James asked suddenly. According to Earth broadcasts, today is March 15, 2197. The eye replied. James exchanged shocked looks with his crew. That's 10 years after we left. The time dilation effect, Dr. Cooper realized. Even with the improved drive, time passed differently for us than for Earth. As they approached Earth, they began receiving messages. At first it was standard traffic control, directing them to identify themselves. But when James sent their GSI clearance codes, there was a long silence. Then, a familiar voice. Horizon, this is Director Ellen Ward. Is that really you? James couldn't help smiling. Yes, Director. We made it back. Another long pause. Then, welcome home, Captain Miller. We thought you were lost. Like all the others. The horizon was directed to dock at the GSI space station. As they approached, James was surprised to see how much it had changed. It was nearly twice as large, with new sections and technologies they didn't recognize. When they finally docked and the airlock opened, Director Ward was waiting for them. She looked older, with more gray in her hair and deeper lines on her face. 10 years, she said, embracing James. What happened out there? It's a long story, James replied. But the short version is, we made history. In the following days, the crew shared their discoveries with GSI scientists, but they quickly ran into problems. Many scientists refused to believe their story about the predecessors and the quantum technology. It's preposterous, said one senior physicist during a review meeting. You expect us to believe that aliens built this technology and that we're being tested to see if we're worthy of it. The evidence is in the drive itself, Dr. Cooper argued. It works on principles we barely understand. Examine it. We have, the physicist replied coldly. And while we cannot yet explain how it works, that doesn't mean we should accept your fairy tales. The situation grew worse when military officials began asking about weapons applications for the quantum drive. James and his crew refused to cooperate with these inquiries, remembering the warnings about misusing the technology. We need to tell people the truth, James told Director Ward privately. Not just GSI, not just the military. Everyone. That would cause panic, Ward argued. Would it, or would it give people hope? After weeks of debate and secret meetings, James made a decision. During a press conference that was supposed to be a simple announcement about advances in space travel, he stepped forward and told the whole story. He told the world about New Hope, about the predecessors, about the defense system watching humanity. He explained that faster-than-light travel was possible, but came with great responsibility. We stand at a crossroads, he said to the stunned reporters. The universe has offered us a chance to prove ourselves worthy of joining a community larger than we ever imagined. But first, we must show that we can use this gift wisely. The reaction was immediate and mixed. Some called him crazy. Others called him a visionary. Governments demanded control of the technology. Religious groups declared it proof of divine design. But something unexpected happened too. People around the world began to change their behavior. Knowing they were being watched and evaluated by an ancient civilization made many reconsider their actions. Countries that had been fighting over dwindling resources began to cooperate. Environmental restoration projects received unprecedented funding and support. A new sense of unity spread as humanity faced its first real cosmic test. 6 months after their return, James stood with Dr. Cooper on a hillside, watching a sunset over a cleaner, greener Earth. Do you think we'll pass their test? He asked. Dr. Cooper smiled. I think we already are. Look there. She pointed to a construction site in the distance, where the first of a new fleet of ships was being built. Unlike the military vessels of the past, these were scientific explorers, designed to map the quantum paths that the predecessors had left throughout the galaxy. We're not alone anymore, Dr. Cooper said. And we never were. That's changing how people think about everything. They said faster-than-light travel was impossible, James mused. They said we'd never find other intelligences in the universe. They said a lot of things, Dr. Cooper agreed, but we made history by proving them wrong. As darkness fell, James looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the predecessors were watching, and somewhere beyond, other civilizations waited to be discovered. Earth had faced its greatest crisis and found not just a solution, but a new beginning. Humanity had been given a second chance and a greater purpose, all because a small crew on an experimental ship had dared to attempt the impossible. James smiled as he spotted a new light moving across the sky, another Horizon-class ship, beginning its journey to the stars. They said it would never happen, he whispered, but we made history, and somewhere in the vast cosmos, ancient watchers nodded in approval as humanity took its first tentative steps toward joining them among the stars.